Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Man, I don't know about you, but we just came off the Oregon coast where there are endless amounts of wild, crazy, smashing waves of the ocean. And yeah, my cup is full. So I'm here to share it with you tonight. So put your questions in the comments if you have any questions at all. Nothing is a stupid question. Nothing is off base. Don't feel bad or embarrassed. We all started where you sit today. And yeah, we're all here to help. So if you're new to Fearless, you probably don't know what a great community we have already, but say hi, put your name in the chat, say hey, let me know that you're here, give me a thumbs up, whatever it might be. Just let me know that I'm talking to someone. That always helps. Yeah, all right, from Spruce Grove. Oh, that's Jules. Hey, Jules. All right, throw it in the chat. Hey, Crystal is in from Central Alberta. She's doing flips, moving into multifamily, doing lots of good stuff. Joan from Cochrane. Hey, Joan. Facebook user, hi. So yeah, welcome everybody. Excited to be here. It's been a little bit since we've done one of these. We do intend to do them once a month, but last one that we had scheduled, we ended up having an amazing guest fill in the last minute. We were like, okay, no, we got to do that. So, but we do have a few questions today. So there's some things today on VTBs. A vendor take back, how does it structure? That's a question from Alicia Smith. We have topic of how to best use down payment. We're stealing these from Fearless. So for those of you that have been in Fearless lately, you might recognize some of the questions and some of the answers, and we're just going to expand on those a little bit. So let's see what else we got. I really liked these two questions. So talking about, how do you incentivize tenants to do things that are not necessarily part of the LTB or RTA where you can't force them to do it. But how do you incentivize them? Things like cleaning up, moving out on time, paying rent on time, all those kinds of things. So how do we go about incentivizing them? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, oh, hey there, Alicia, I'll go with. So we're going to be answering your questions tonight on VTBs. So feel free to put any clarification in the chat as you see it. I'll ask you questions kind of as we go. If things make sense that way, you can just kind of let me know what you're thinking. So, all right, Christine from Ontario, welcome you guys. And Robin, I don't know if you're on your bike or not, but be careful if you are. And how to find reliable leads for subject property. Okay, so we can certainly talk about leads as well. All right, guys, so let's just get started. We'll start with that one right there. How to find reliable leads. So I am assuming that you're talking about having leads for like motivated vendors. So you want to buy property that is off market. So let's talk about that for a second. So first off, lots of good options when we go off market. Absolutely. The pros are we get to deal, face to face with sellers, vendors. That's often nice. It allows us to kind of find out what their needs are, really listen, and really find a solution. So not just a buy for us, but like a solution that solves everyone's problems, ours and theirs. So there's a lot of satisfaction in doing that. So certainly, how do we find motivated vendors? Oh, there's so many different ways, but you can put up signs saying I buy houses right in that area that you're looking for. Try to kind of do it in a specified area, like choose a neighborhood. Don't just span everywhere you drive to drop a sign kind of thing. You can, but you're gonna end up quite spread out. Become an expert in the neighborhood when you can tell someone, oh yeah, I have a property just down the road. Sellers really like the thought that it's a kind of a community. You can send out letters, you can knock on doors, you can drive for dollars. So you're going to go around different houses, you're going to look and see which houses look a little tired, which houses maybe you don't have the maintenance or even grass cut, snow shoveled, that sort of thing. Which houses look empty. And then you can do a title search. So in most provinces, you can go and pull title at a registry, and you can get the owner's information and try to contact them. Or you can leave notes at the door, that sort of thing. Another really cool way to find these motivated vendors, and you can tell me, actually before I go on and on, okay, so if you're motivated vendors and you're in Texas, you don't feel comfortable, Don't do it. Absolutely. There's better ways that you can do it. So for example, there are, and I know in Texas for sure there are, because I'm part of some of them, there are Facebook groups where you can go to where landlords will go to ask their questions. How do I get a tenant out? Or, man, this tenant destroyed my house. How do I deal with this? Different, questions from investors. So if you're in Texas, I know that there's lots there. These are a good place to find what we call tired or distressed landlords. And we bought lots of property off of distressed landlords. And what they are is people that have been doing it for a while. They maybe haven't been doing it properly. So their results have been a little bit rough. They're tired emotionally. And often there's a lot of work to be done in the house when they leave. And actually, you know what? Not even a lot. Often it's just kind of one of those facelift type things that need to be done. But they're tired and they want someone to take over their problem. And that's what we do as investors, right? We fix problems. We fix our problems of our partners, of our joint venture partners, of our lenders, of our tenants. We fix problems. So, so go onto these boards and message them. Be of value first. Don't just be like, oh, hey, I can take that off your hands. I'll, no problem or whatever. Don't be the greedy person. Go in there and say, so here's a couple of ideas for you. You can, and we're going to talk about a couple things when you have difficult tenants here later in some of these questions, but you can hire a truck for them, hire a driver for them, buy them lunch. You can do all these kinds of things. And say, these are some suggestions. Feel free. I'll DM you, check your DMs. We can chat privately more. If you want to be of value to more people, and same thing in Fearless, guys. Sometimes, people say, oh, DM me and I'll tell you. If you want to be of value to more people are reading these posts. So put the value in the post and then let them know that you're going to maybe DM them or whatever. Though that may be illegal in some groups. So, but that's a really good way to find distressed landlords that are tired. You can also go on, and I used to do this all the time and I loved it. I would go on rental property ads. So find a rental ad that's in your area that you're looking to expand into. And then find the ads that are terrible, the terrible pictures, the ones that they took on their own phones and didn't turn the lights on. They left the toilet seat up for the picture, all those things. Go and contact that landlord and say, I'm an investor. I couldn't help but notice that there's some things that could really help your ad. Is it rented yet? If not, I'd be happy to help you. And just say, no, this is just paying it forward, and really do help them. Change your pictures, do this, do that, do this, whatever. Give them some suggestions. If that turns into a conversation about maybe joint venturing on that property or they want to sell it, awesome. It won't always, but sometimes it will. So go in being a good human, come out sometimes with deals and sometimes with just having gone in and been a good human. It feels good either way. So, all right. Let's see. Okay, we got some talk about other stuff now. That's kind of funny, hilarious. Okay. Okay, awesome. Jules also put in our friend from Texas. She also put in past training that we've done with Deb Kennedy, and Deb is an absolute gem at not only how to find those motivated vendors, but then how to talk to them and how to be a good human while helping people out of these terrible situations that a lot of people would go in and just kind of cockroach and try to get as much out of it as they possibly can. So, all right, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that answered your question. And we're going to move on to the next question. Do let me know if there's anything in there that you would like clarification on. Okay. Let's see. All right. VTBs. Who's done a VTB, guys? Put up your hand. VTB. Put it in the chat if you have done one or if you know what it is. If you don't even know what it is, that's okay. Put a thumbs down. So who knows what a VTB is? That's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, contractor question. Good. I will also address that right after this. Okay, so let's talk about some VTBs. I've done one. Robin says, awesome. Okay. So a VTB, guys, they're harder to do these days in residential. They're very common in multifamily, big multifamily, small multifamily. It doesn't seem to matter. In the commercial world, they are a very normal way of financing your deals. So what it is it's where the seller becomes a mortgage holder for you. So let's say that you have $1 million, apartment building or whatever. Let's say it's a fiveplex. Okay, so anything over 5 doors. So you've got this $1 million building. You're normally, let's say you're putting 30% down on it. That's $300,000. Some banks, if they're going to hold the $700,000 additional mortgage for you in the first position mortgage, some banks will allow you for the additional $300,000 that you have to put down to have the vendor carry some of that. That is just a very standard way of doing it. Okay. There's lots of times when you can have the vendor or the seller, if they don't have a mortgage on the property, is usually when it would happen, carry the whole mortgage for you. And we've had that happen as well, where they become our bank. We don't have to go to another bank. We can just use them. So lots of different ways. But Alicia, this is the question that you had asked. So what are some key strategies when approaching a seller with a VTB? So first and foremost, simplicity. Okay. When we have someone with a confused mind, they say no. A confused mind says no. Repeat that to yourself constantly when you're talking to anyone about real estate. A confused mind says no. So to avoid a confused mind, we're going to use very simple questions, and we're going to keep it very low information the first couple times that we talk to them. Okay. So the first question is, so do you mind if I ask what your plans are for this money? Are you going to be buying something else? Are you moving, somewhere, or, just very inquisitive questions, asking what their plan is for the money. Do you need all of the money? Is basically what you want to know. Sometimes they'll say, no, I don't know we're going to put it into investments, or we're going to do this, or whatever it might be. Other times they say, yeah, we have debts to pay, or we have to buy another house, whatever it might be. But the first question is just finding out in a conversational way whether or not they need all of the money. Okay, so that's your first question. Don't then say, well, because I can do a VTB and what it is a vendor kickback and blah, 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 blah. All, getting into detail, that's just going to overwhelm people. So cut it off. What do you need? Do you need all of the money from this? What's your plans after, kind of thing, and leave it there. So secondly, if they've said that they don't need all of the money, you can say, again, really simply, really casually, and slowly. So you're not going to be talking like I am, where I'm very hyper and I'm trying to get through questions today, right? And talking fast. You're going to slow it down, and you're going to say to them, okay, well, maybe there's a way that we can keep you in as an owner in the property. You can keep on, being part of the gains, but not do any of the work. I'll do all of the work. Maybe there's a way there. And then you leave it. So then you just very casually mention it, and you move on to something else. If you continue at it, you're doing a sales spiel, and people don't like to be sold to. So, well, maybe there's a way that we can keep you as part owner. I don't know. And, you could still benefit from the property going up, but I'll take all the headaches off of you, as if you are selling it to me fully, something like that. So really casual, really flippant almost, and not serious, and very calm. Okay. We want to be calm so they can emulate the calm and not feel nervous in that whole discussion. Your second question. So that's how you start the conversations. Okay. That's it. Simple. Then you know whether or not a VTB is an option. Do you use a specific method to determine the terms and interest rates? It is very dependent on the property. So the property is going to tell you what it can support. It would be great to be able to say, oh, I'll pay 10% or 12% on every VTB that I get. I'd love to pay, people that kind of money. But if the property doesn't support that, and it's not going to cash flow enough to support that, then it doesn't make sense. So certainly it is dependent not only on the property, but also on what's the situation of the seller. Why are they getting out? What do they need? We've done VTBs for as low as 3%. And it's just because they didn't care about making the interest on it. They just were in a tight position. They wanted out from under the stress, out from under the debt. And so they were willing to just do whatever. They would have done it for free probably, but we offered them 3%. We were offering for quite a while, and people take it. So it's all quite dependent. And your last question, Alicia, and make sure to throw in the chat if you have any questions as I go. I know I'm talking fast, but certainly put in the chat any questions about VTBs. Let's stay on this subject for a little bit if you want. Certainly a little harder in residential right now. Most banks are kind of tightened up on that, not allowing that as much. But I do see with the changing markets, VTBs often open up when there are tough times in markets. And so we see a lot of shifting in markets right now. And so we know that things are going to open up a little bit in different ways. Vendors, sellers will be open to things they haven't been open to in the past while. So we are going to see these creative strategies coming right back at us. So, okay. You know of them, but you've never done one. There we go. Vendor take back. Awesome. Okay. Melissa, awesome. Another question. Yes, you have access to the replays. So one of the replays is put in the chat here by Jules. She threw it in the chat. And that was a replay of motivated vendor discussion. So, all right. Let me see. Last question. Are there forms and templates that people use when you're dealing with a VTB? So, Alicia, yes, there are forms and templates. Generally speaking, a VTB, it's a vendor take back. We call it that. But the part we don't often say but is applicable is vendor take back mortgage, VTB mortgage. So it is a mortgage document. So that's what you use, is a very simple, of course, it's not the 15-page document that banks use, but it is, a typical mortgage document. All of the terms and conditions are laid out. It does get registered on title, which is where we have some difficulty right now with the residential banks. A lot of them are not allowing that right now. So if you have a mortgage, coming with a first bank, let's say it's Bank of Montreal, then they will not allow you to have another second caveat or lien, which means no more mortgages in addition. So they don't want anyone in second or third place. So that's where we're having troubles in the residential world. But again, commercial, anything over 5 units, very standard, being done all the time. So yes, and it is a mortgage template document. Super easy. You can fill it out yourself, even register it yourself if you want, though when you're transferring money and all that stuff, you'd be using a lawyer anyway. So, all right, let me see. Contractors. All right. And Alicia, did I cover everything? Those are your questions that you put in, but do let me know if you have additional questions for sure. Good. Awesome. Okay, talking about contractors, how to find contractors. You're looking to get 3 contractors for your estimates. So, yeah, word of mouth to me is always by far the best. I don't want to have to trial everything and everyone, especially when I know people that already have. So I'm not sure what market you're in, but if you put in the chat here what market you're in, then we'll be able to connect you with some investors in that market that would be able to give you recommendations. And yeah, getting 3 estimates is always a good idea. Not always feasible or practical, or you can't always do that. There just may not be the options, but it is always a good idea just so you know where you're standing. But yeah, word of mouth for contractors, huge. Be careful of those that are asking for certain money up front, or like full pay up front. You want to definitely be careful. Leave deposits. Of course, they have to buy the product and that sort of thing. That's fine. But you want to be able to control the pace and the timelines and all that kind of stuff. So let's see. Oh, in Portugal, that'd be cool. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I don't see what area you're in, but if you want to put what area you're in, we can connect you for sure. All right, let's look. Mirror listing is a new term for me this week. Are there pros and cons to working with a seller like this? Melissa, I don't even know. My realtor says people tend to shy away. Mere listing, MERE. I don't know what that is. I don't think I've ever heard of it, even in US stuff. So maybe just bare land. No. Anyways, maybe clarify for me what that is, or I can look it up for you too, and I can certainly get back to you on it. But no, I've never heard of that before. So let me see. Mere is a for sale by owner, but posted on the realtor system. Oh, I see. Your realtor says people tend to shy away. Okay. Oh, look at this. Interesting. Okay, so of course your realtor is going to say that people. Thanks, Christine. By the way, maybe it's an Eastern term. I'm not sure. It's definitely new. But so yeah, if this is where it's a for sale by owner, but they're listed on Realtor.ca, that changed. The rules changed about 3 years ago now. Before, only if you were listed with a realtor could you put your properties on the MLS system. Now, the competition board had this great big thing, and now anyone can do it. So basically, why is your realtor saying that most people would shy away? Because of course they're not going to get a commission from that. So you'll see, a realtor can always sell a for sale by owner, but there's no commission agreement for them. So of course they're not going to be interested in it. From our point of view in dealing with them straight up, yeah, it's a great option. However, I will say, and actually I meant to say this at the very beginning, the very first question, we did find most of our deals through realtors that were well connected. I did it all. I did the yellow letters, I did the signs, I did the knocking on doors, we did the postcards, we did the foreclosures lists, we did the court judgments, we did all of those things. And we did find vendors and sellers that way. But the most consistent, repeatable, and volume that we did do was finding it through realtors, investor-focused realtors. So, Melissa, you're an Ignited member. We can walk you through and we can help you do all of it. So I would not shy away from that. I would absolutely do it. And if your realtor's the one who sent it to you, work out a commission for them if you buy the place, just to preserve that relationship if they're a really good realtor. But yeah, that's why they would say that people are shying away. They're not actually supposed to do that. They're supposed to show everything by law, but we know that doesn't make sense. If they're not going to get paid for it, why would they put time and effort into it, right? They want you to buy something that they're going to get paid for. All right. Thanks, Christine, for that clarification too. There. So how to find a good STR boutique Airbnb. So just let me know a little bit more clarity. I'll move on to the next question and then come back to this one. But boutique Airbnbs, how to find them, like to use them, or how to find them to buy them and then continue them on Airbnb. Or maybe a good question there would be how to create them. Certainly we've done that, and that's nice and easy and works well. So Lisa Stanley is in Fearless every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time doing a Mind Your Own Properties STR version. So how she manages, organizes. She had 2 long-term condos, and they weren't cash flowing. So she's turned them into these very successful Airbnbs that she manages from afar. So she's sharing with us all of her little tips and tricks that she's learned along the way and continues to learn, right? So maybe just clarify for me on that, which you needed exactly. I was wondering, they would still have to pay the buyer side. Yeah. And lots of times, with, you can save some commission, you can save all commission, or you can save no commission, right? It just depends. So, Melissa, don't shy away from it. Totally go for it, I think, anyways. All right. Are there blank templates available for VTBs online? You know what? I don't know that there are. I'm sure there are. In either way, if you don't have one, we have one that we provide for our Ignited members. I hate saying that, but it's true. But like either way, your lawyer can draft one up. So it's usually between 1,500 and 2,000 or so Canadian for a mortgage template to be drafted up. Once you have it, you can then use it. We do have a template package that we also sell. If you are interested in that, you can certainly set up an appointment. We can show you what are in there and you can see whether or not you're interested in it, which is probably the same price as paying your lawyer to do it, and you'd get a whole bunch of other templates as well, joint venture templates, all that kind of stuff. So certainly feel free to set up an appointment there if you'd like. But either way, you can take a template and, edit it up and then have your lawyer review it. But sometimes it's just cheaper to have them create it because sometimes they're so off or not provincially legislated, and then they have to change it. And sometimes it's just simpler to start from scratch than to change it. All right. He was happy to show me. He's great. Okay, so that's pretty awesome because he's not getting paid for that, right? So he would hopefully be hoping that you would pay him on the buyer's side, and maybe you've made that arrangement with him, which is awesome. But yeah, he wouldn't, be, yeah, go for it. Let's talk about it more in Ignited here, because I wouldn't shy away for sure. All right. STR location, but the location might be expensive. Okay. Thank you for the clarification on that. So you're wondering where to find these STR locations. Okay. Awesome tool for you is AirDNA. So airdna.com or .ca. I'm not sure exactly which. We also did a training on that, which was pretty dang amazing that they did that for us, because they don't do that, but they kind of showed us how to use it, all the free features versus the paid free features of it. AirDNA will tell you, okay, in this area, a 1-bedroom, this is how many nights of the year they are booked. This is the average rate that they get. This is an important thing that I didn't know until I became an Airbnb host. This is the average stay. So let's say that it's a 3-day stay. Well, the constant turnover is costing you money every time, right? Cleaners and maintenance and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes in checking in and out fees, depending on how you run your Airbnb. So the nice part of it is that it says your average stay. So is your average stay 2 weeks? You have 2 tenants in a month? Or is your average stay 3 days and you're turning over constantly? What if you put your minimum at 5 days? Does that still work? So AirDNA is an awesome tool. The paid version, fantastic. Even if you only have a couple of properties, once you get them set up, you can unsubscribe to them. But certainly, even the free version gives you so much information. So, okay, so you're looking to maybe BRRRR, I'm thinking. So you're thinking to find these properties, turn it into an Airbnb, make it successful. Absolutely use AirDNA for sure. Hey, Sean. Hey. All right. Best location to flip. Residential rental. So best location to flip. Certainly don't flip in markets that are unstable. Don't flip in markets that are going up too crazy high because you might miss the peak. Don't flip in markets that are going down because if you screw up, you want some sort of help from the market bringing you up. So, that kind of flat yet started to go up market is always a good one to flip in. I believe that's your question, so that's how I'm answering it. Certainly clarify if needed. Have we ever done ground up development? So we have done, we built a beautiful 4-plex. It still is gorgeous. I drive by it every once in a while just to check on it. It's almost like your baby. So yeah, it was fantastic. We tore down an older house, which, sometimes the hardest part of doing that is the nostalgia of the neighbors. But, ahead of time, we got the neighbors on board. We went and involved them in the process and, got them excited about what was coming to their neighborhood. And they were all super excited. So we have video of, the day of demolition, the neighbors standing out there smiling and clapping. And we brought coffee and, made it kind of a little bit of an event. And so, yeah, it was awesome. And we sold that. That was a development flip. So yeah, awesome experience, awesome time. We loved it. And doing more and more of that now. So certainly with partners and for a nonprofit organization that we work with. But yeah, tell me what questions you have about it and I can answer if I can. All right. And Jules, as always, this is the video here. So she's saying right there with the AirDNA information. Okay, so AirDNA information, how it works, what it is, whether or not you should subscribe, what features are the free features versus the paid. That's, yeah, Joel threw it in the chat. Thanks, Jules. All right. Yeah, and Crystal's good data. It can help narrow down the market. Absolutely. Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions specific to that ground up development. So something that we're definitely doing more of now. Okay, thank you. I saw this question, but I forgot already. So ideal interest rate for private lenders and hard money lenders. So guys, I'll let you answer this question. So we did this question in Ignited a little while ago. Actually, I think it might have been in Fearless. Maybe we can find that poll and throw it in here for you so that you can see. It wasn't that long ago, in the last maybe 6 weeks. What are you getting and or giving? There you go. Good question. See, so our Eric in Ontario, he's doing all kinds of land development stuff, all kinds of fun stuff. He's both a private lender himself as well as accepts private lending money. So is this short-term money? Is this long-term money? Is it registered funds? There's all kinds of questions. So short-term money, Calvert. So Calvert is a firm out of Calgary that funds burrs and flips. They're at 17%. Crystal does flips herself. She just paid 15%. Again, that's short term, right? So often, as a rule of thumb, there is there's a lot of factors that I was just going to say. So Sean Impey is a mortgage broker as well. He does have private lenders that he works with that he can certainly recommend and bring into the fold if you're looking for help there. But it comes down to whether it's short-term, long-term, whether it's secured or unsecured, whether they're registered funds, because then they're mandated at certain amounts have to be paid and how often they have to be paid and that sort of thing. So all of these things, and I love it how, like, for private, for this, for that, people are giving what they're paying or getting, but certainly it's dependent on all of those terms. So if you want, you can put a poll in Fearless, and we will approve it. Lots of times we can't approve all this stuff because it's just it's not good, but you can put a poll in Fearless, or we can for you, just saying, hey, what are we getting on? And it depends what you're looking for. Is it secured funds? Is it non-secured? Is it private? Is it short term? Is it long term? All that kind of stuff. So in general, the more risk, the higher the percentage. So if it is unsecured, you're going to get a higher percentage. If it is secured, so there's more security in it, then you're going to get a lower percentage, both pay it or get it or whatever it might be. So there we go. So you can certainly talk to Sean. You can give him a call. He's seanimpey.ca, I think. Or just Google him or come on Facebook here. He's always on there. So certainly he can give you a hand, but lots of information as well in here. So let me see here. Oops, sorry. Okay, hang on. Let's get back to seanimpey.com. Thank you, Sean. Okay, hopefully that covered your question on interest rates. Ground up, the soft costs. Oh man. Okay, so soft costs. Yeah, soft costs are all your paperwork, basically, right? All the stuff that you don't quantify. Certainly, depending on where you are, that's a huge difference. I think things that a lot of people don't count on is the time that it's going to take. I know we're working on one right now that, ideally we wanted to have it done in 18 months, and for just so many reasons, but the holding time is probably going to be about 3 years. That's just the way it's going to be. So I think that's, like you say, a lot of things that people don't think about is that time. So how are you going to hold that land and pay for it while you're not getting any income from it. So being creative in how you buy that land, whether that's, an agreement for sale or an option to purchase, or having the seller hold that for you, so that you're not, having money going out of your pocket before you're bringing anything in. Those are all really good options for just kind of mitigating that timeline, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about. Ideally, and this is what we often do, is you get a partner that has cash, and so you can just pay cash. You don't have that problem holding on to it. That's, I know, in a perfect world, but time again stretches out, and you're losing money on that. So that's definitely something I think a lot of people don't think about, for sure. What is a good plan B if the cost of rehabbing or repairing a property is way more than expected? Yeah, good question. And I'm not sure if this is, oh no, it wouldn't be. I was going to say, I'm not sure if this is related. It's hard with StreamYard not allowing me to see whose the names are. Okay, so if you have any more questions about this specifically, but that is definitely something, the financing of it is definitely more difficult. And the timeline makes everything more expensive. So, and even what's it called? NIMBYism, not in my backyard. Huge movements in that. So a lot of people don't realize that just because something is zoned a certain way, or the city says that, something can be done, it doesn't mean that the neighbors are going to let you do it. And so there has to be a whole lot more community involvement, I think, to get people on your side. And when you get it, it's beautiful. It's awesome. And you can do little things like, I don't know, you talk to the neighbors, for sure, but even including things like daycares or whatever it might be involved in your project. If it's, let's say it's a, multifamily residential split, add a spot for a daycare, and say that that is your hope and intention. Whether it goes in or not is not up to you. You're not running a daycare, but that is the intention for that spot. And the community rallies around that kind of stuff. So certainly think of the community that you're getting involved in, because that's it can make or break you. Absolutely. And for sure, even if the zoning is on your side. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that not a lot of people necessarily go into it knowing. Yeah, some of the soft costs, like your designs and stuff, I mean, those are pretty standard. So that stuff you can kind of figure out. There we go. So Sean's just throwing out all the soft versus hard costs. That's perfect. All right, let's move on to this one here. What is a good plan B if the cost of rehabbing, repairing a property is way more than expected? So it does depend on your market, for sure. Are we underwater? Are we upside down on this? Are we, literally not going to make, are we going to be negative? Or are we just losing our profit? So sometimes we have to rack it up to learning and experience and walk away. Not walk away, but sell and walk, knowing that we learned a lot but didn't make a lot. Consider yourself lucky if that's the case. If not, if you're underwater, if you're upside down on this property. So some things you can do, and we've had to do them. Can you take that property? And yes, it does require more money, bridge money, short-term money. Okay, so it's expensive, but it can really, really change a property. Can you add another suite? Is there a garage you can build a suite on top? Is there no garage where you can put one? So you're forcing some appreciation. Can you add another suite? Can you Airbnb? So that you're increasing the value of the property to an investor and then sell directly to an investor. Can you, where's your market at? Can you hold it? And if you can't at the price that, so first off, whenever you're doing a flip, you should always be making sure that it will cash flow if you can't sell. Too late for this, it sounds like, right? When you're already in it, and that's, hindsight's 20/20. But for those of you that are not already in it, if you're doing a flip, always make sure that it'll cash flow. And we've been saying this for years, because you never know what's going to happen, and markets turn really dang fast. But let's say that you're not at that point. Can you then Airbnb it or corporate rental it or get insurance companies or get some sort of government agency to rent it off of you? Melanie Robinson and Angie Wee both have experienced that lately, where you get a government agency to rent it off of you. They then use it for their purposes, but they, are willing to pay more because they understand there's more risk in there for you as an investor. So, can you do those kinds of things to hold on to it longer, up the value of it, force the numbers, that sort of thing? Finding your own buyers, that sort of thing. So let me know if that answered your question. Let me know if there's anything else that can be helped. But hey, just before moving on, don't worry about if you have to walk away not having won anything. Pay your lenders. Even if you have lenders, private lenders, let's say, and you have to pay them out of pocket and you're actually at a loss, pay them what you said you'd pay them. Don't ever walk away without paying your lenders, because your reputation will precede you. We are a small group of investors. We might be a few thousand big, and people know. So your reputation will precede you in both ways. We've had to walk away from deals before after having worked on them for 10 years and broken even. Our lenders got their money. Our joint venture partners got their money. But we walked away having done all that work for nothing in some cases. But our reputation is that we pay our lenders, and therefore every time we need a lender, we don't have a problem finding one. And yes, that was even in the beginning. It took a couple of years to kind of get that reputation, but once you have it, you hold on to it. So if you have to walk and use a line of credit to pay people the money you said you would, pay it out, walk, move on to the next project, knowing how to do it better, and pay off that line of credit. And you have to do a couple of them to break even. That's what you got to do. But that's what you have to do. Don't wreck your reputation over a bad deal. Sometimes we just get ourselves into bad deals and it sucks, but don't feel bad. We all do it. We've all done it. So, all right, there we go. There's another good solution. Talk to your mortgage broker. So if costs are higher, if it was a flip or a burr, maybe talk to your mortgage broker. Maybe they can finagle. Sean's awesome at finding options where it seems there are none. And maybe he can bring you a different lending product that's going to help you hang on for longer. So awesome. Thanks, Sean. What kind of bookkeeping do we do when we furnish our Airbnb? Is it all under capital expense? I think so. Yeah, I think it was. And there's so many different ways you can go with, whether you depreciate stuff or don't depreciate and all that kind of stuff. But I believe because with Airbnbs, you are turning your stuff over maybe every 3 years or so. Like, it does get used a little bit more than, your average sofa, like not used more, but abused more maybe. So we do turn over our beds, mattresses, sofas, everything gets turned over. Even decorations get turned over, not only because they need to be, but because you also want to keep your Airbnb looking pretty slick. You want people wanting to be there, and so even just keeping on, not trends, but like keeping it, the feel of it, to be what's common. I do believe that it was all under capital expenses because those things can turn over quickly. So if you need more clarification on that, I can confirm it and confirm the reasons why. Just let us know and I can do that with my bookkeeper. All right. You sent an email to your accountant just asking. You knew that we were going to say, hey, this is an accountant question. It always is, right? It's always an accountant question. But yeah, I believe for us, because of the turnover with the Airbnb that we did capital. Okay. I'm really glad to talk to you about this one. We've got probably 2 more questions here, and then that's it. I love this. Now, it's from an anonymous person, and so I don't know who you are, but I love this. I saved up about $28,000. Congratulations, because saving that kind of money is not an easy task. So it takes discipline. So good for you. I want to use it as a 20% down payment for my first investment property. But this can only get me a townhouse. Absolutely. I love the comments that you have in there. Some really long-term investors. Arlen Dolan commented in there saying, I love townhouses. Sam Lee commented in there. Like, so many people commented with really good information. I will say, we did get rid of one comment, and the reason we got rid of it is because the comment was made that you can put 5% down on 3 or 4 properties rather than 20% down on one, and use your money in better ways. And certainly that can be true in different countries, and certainly that can be true in different circumstances. In some ways you can maybe do that on 2 properties. It's tough to do, but there are ways to do it. But when we're talking 3 or 4 properties at 5% down, then we now know that we're playing in a gray area with mortgage lending rules in Canada. And for that reason, we deleted that comment. And so I apologize. We do facilitate this group. We do try to make sure that everyone's getting advice that's on the up and up. We can't moderate everything. But when something is really blatantly in that gray/black area, we will moderate that. So the answers though that you got, a couple of them for me are just awesome. All of them are awesome. The other answers that you got. And one of them immediately for me was, one great thing that we love to hear people doing. And it all comes down to, there's some tax implications I'll talk about in a second here, but if you have $28,000 and you put that down on your next place, yes, if it's an investment property by law, you do have to put 20% down. Sean MP can help you with that. He's a mortgage broker. He's here in the chat tonight. He can help you with that, get you the best rate for the best product depending on your goals. Okay, so talk to someone who knows what they're talking about in that climate. Or if you're willing and able to move and you put 5% down on your next place and move into it, so you have to move into it by law. If you don't move into it, you're not following the rules, which is mortgage fraud. So it's pretty serious. But if you're willing to move into it and then rent out the place that you currently have, that is a fair and legal move, as long as your intent when you bought your your current place was to live in it, and therefore you're able to put 5% down. And now things have changed, circumstances have changed, you're moving into another property, you can, because it's your primary residence, because you will be living in it, you can put down 5%. So that's an awesome thing to do. You can then house hack that. Tammy Saunders had that idea, house hack. It can be either one, the place you're in now or the place that you move to. House hack it so that you're paying down that mortgage, or living for free and saving more, or whatever it is that your goals are. Joint venturing, joint ventures are where someone else gives you the money. So you just save that $28,000, keep on saving it, and find a partner that's going to give you the down payment that you need, the 20% down. Maybe you don't want a townhouse. Townhouses can be awesome in Edmonton. Watch for condo fees. Watch for reserve funds being, kept well and up to date. Watch for deferred maintenance. If they've in the minutes have been talking over the last year about, fences, decks, windows, roofs, all needing replacing. You know that there's probably going to be an assessment coming up, so that's going to cost you. But they can be a good investment. But let's say you wanted to do something else. Let's say you wanted to do a house or whatever. Find a joint venture partner. And that's how we bought all of our properties. We found people that gave us the money, and we did the work, and we split profits. Some of them we still have 20 years later. So it's a powerful tool. As long as you can raise money and find people to partner with, sky is the limit. You never have to stop until you want to, which you will want to. But yeah, so anyways, I'll leave all of those ideas with you. But moving into the next one with 5% down and renting out your current one is a fantastic way to stretch your money just a little bit. There we go. Eric and Tara, some of our best investments or best returns are on townhouses. So yeah, it has to be mortgage fraud, right? So if you're not doing it legally, guys, we'll delete the comments. And so we certainly did. So work with people that work within the lines. Sean works within the lines. He's not stupid enough to put his license on the line to do something, that's half in, half out. Just play within the rules, guys. You're going to stand longer. So, all right. Do the neighbors have that much control over development project? So here's what our experience has been is, and we are not land development people. Okay. So I'll just be really clear. That is not our expertise. We have done land development, but that is not our, we don't have it systemized down to a science. Okay. But in the land development that we have done, do the neighbors have that much control over a project? They certainly can. I say 100% it's worth getting them on board. So even let's say if a neighborhood plan says that, there's certain zoning allowed in a certain area. So, you can put a multifamily building in this area. You don't need the neighbor's permission, let's say, to do exactly what the zoning says you can do, generally speaking. And again, it's all dependent on areas, and small towns might be tougher and that sort of thing. You don't need their permission, but they can certainly make it more difficult, more expensive. It's just better and easier to have them on your side. Now, let's say you want to do something just a little bit outside the rules. Let's say you wanted to, you find, okay, well, this says we can do a 4-level apartment building. Actually, we can size-wise do an 8-story building, double the number of units. Anything, or let's say you go from a 4 to a 5-story building. All of a sudden, you need their permission. And if you didn't get them on board in the first place, you're never going to get them on board after. So absolutely, get the neighborhood, get the community on board. Let's say, there's a commercial mix in there that's required by your town or city or whatever, but yet your commercial buildings fit. So for example, in an area that we are currently looking, and well, we also live here, but in Edmonton, so there's whole stretches, blocks where downtown made it a requirement where you had to have commercial on the bottom floor of all these new apartment buildings or whatever. So that's been a requirement. Well, what it's created is, since there's no demand for those, it's all the first level of all of these buildings for blocks on end are empty. And so, there's a lot of developers that are saying, well, I don't want to build in there anymore because this is a requirement, but that is a requirement right now. So let's say you wanted to go in and change that requirement and apply for it, and you didn't get the neighbor's permission. Good luck. Good luck. You're never going to get it. So do they really have that much control? In my experience, yeah. Plus, it's just nicer to have them on board. So you're not always going to get everybody on board for sure, but I do think that the large majority of people you can, when you involve them in the process, give them some choice, make them feel heard, and give back to the community in some way, whatever way that might be. So yeah, that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, from the small amount of land development that we have done, that would be our, yeah. Aw. Thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you. That's so sweet. Okay, so I wanted to quickly talk about, look at this, we're right on time. I wanted to quickly talk about a couple of things. So 2 questions have recently come up in Fearless, but we have this conversation somewhat often in Ignited as well, and that's how to work with your tenants. So this is one of the questions. We're selling a rental property. The house is in great shape. If we got rid of the tenants, they're super uncooperative, they're miserable, whatever. How do we incentivize tenants to clean up? So that's what I wanted to talk about is, what do we do? And it can be for cleaning up, it can be for moving out on time, it can be for paying rent on time. What do we do when tenants, aren't living or taking care of the place like we would want, and there's no legislation around supporting that? So there's a few things that we can do. Incentivizing it is for sure the best way. We can't force them, but we can incentivize them. We can, make them want to do certain things. So, for example, in Alberta, we can't force them to pay on the 1st of the month or the 25th of the month or whatever it is that your rent pay date is. Crazy enough, we cannot force them to pay us on time. Sounds crazy, but it's true. What we can do though is incentivize them. So in our leases, we have, our rent set in our ads. So we'll have our rent, let's say it's $1,900 for rent. And that in our ad, it says, this is rent after all incentives have been applied. Then in our lease, the actual base rent is, let's say, $2,100. And then our incentivized rent is $1,900. And so in there's $200 worth of incentives every single month that we give them so that they will cooperate. Things like paying on time. We can't force them, but we can incentivize them. If they don't choose to pay on the 1st of the month or on the 25th, in our case, we do the 25th of the month. If they don't choose to pay on the 25th of the month, that's fine, but it's going to be $100 extra every month. So do they want the $100 or do they want to pay on the 1st? $50 for insurance. And it's an antiquated rule, but we still like post-dated checks, and I have my reasons. But we want to force them to give us post-dated checks. Again, they don't have to, but we can incentivize them. So $50 for that every month. If they don't follow through with those things, we can up their rent by that amount every single month. So incentives. So what might that be? So Matt, your incentive might be to pay them to leave. And that's not very common in probably your area. I think you're in Prince George. It's probably not very common or needing to be done. But what we often will do is incentivize and say, okay, upon move out, if this, now you mentioned they've got it packed to the walls. So if the house is empty, if the yard is completely clean of all debris, if the lawn is mowed, we've done this even just for like simple maintenance stuff, then upon move out, we will give you back not only your full damage deposit, which you guys in BC only have first month's rent and last month's rent, so forget that part, but we'll give you back your damage deposit if that's applicable. We will also pay you X number of dollars upon move out, right? So cash for keys is the term, but it doesn't necessarily just have to be for them to move out. It can also be terms. Again, it's all incentives. We have paid for moving trucks. You have to be careful when you pay for movers because there's some insurance liabilities in there. But we've paid for moving trucks and pizza lunch on the day of for them and their friends. We've incentivized them to have the yard completely clear of, they had like old vintage rusty tractors that they thought were beautiful. We were like, okay, if they leave those there, what are we going to do with them? We can't even get them in a dumpster. So we incentivized them to make sure that they were gone. Not only will we give you your damage deposit back, but we'll pay you an extra $1,000 to make sure everything is pristine when you leave. So incentives, that's what you have to do. And yeah, I know it sucks when in the contract it says that they're going to take care of your place and they're not. But at the end of the day, again, and I know you think like this because I've watched your posts for the last few years now. It's not emotional. It's business, and I know you think that way. So you pay them. That's what you do in some way or form. But you get them to sign a contract ahead of time saying that they agree to these things in order to get these things. And the moving truck, you wouldn't believe how much that helps. Just because a lot of people don't even know how to begin there and think it's so expensive, and it's really not very expensive. So we'll show up, we'll have 2 guys show up, they'll load it, you tell them what to load, whatever, garbage disposal guys, whatever. So answer is you pay them. That's it. All right. May, you were the STRs for the Airbnb stuff. So there we go. All right. I think that is it. Let me see. We are at past 5 o'clock. So done deal, guys. Ask us anything. One more. We have done this. We try to do it every month. You can put your questions in ahead of time if you want. And just let us know, hey, can you answer this question on Ask Us Anything? And Jules will tag it and make sure that we get to it when the time comes. So cheers, everyone. I hope you're having an awesome week. And we will see you all very, very soon. We'll see you next Tuesday for another Tactical Tuesday. And Ignited, we'll see you. Sean Impey is joining us in Ignited tonight to answer all of our questions regarding financing. So come and let's try to stump him, okay? Because he knows everything, but we're going to try and stump him. Let's see what we can do.